Thank you. So we are studying the indefinite proposition. We saw universal propositions, everyone. We saw particular proposition, someone. We saw singular proposition, this or that person, or John, or Paul, Francis. And finally, we have a fourth kind of proposition we call indefinite proposition. Well, the problem of indefinite, it is by nature indefinite. We have no precision if it is universal or particular. And some proposition can be universal, some be particular. So how we can discover that? Discover they are universal. They are universal if they express a necessary link between the subject and the predicate. If the link is essential, in that case, the subject will be universal. If the link between the predicate and the subject is accidental, the subject will be particular. It doesn't think to that. For example, man is intelligent. That means every man, because it's the essence of man to be intelligent. Angels are spiritual beings, every angel, etc. Now, when it is not necessary, that means when it is a property or an accident. Here, to understand that, you must understand the predicate, how the predicate is attributed to the subject. So if it is attributed in an essential way, that means as genus, specific, difference, or species. The three ways of essential. Okay? We have accidental or unnecessary. For example, Americans are rich. Is it universal? No. So here it is, some Americans are rich, but some are not rich. So it is particular. Children are disobedient. Some children, Politicians cannot be honest. No, some. Okay? So the predicate is accidental. And because the predicate is accidental to the subject, it is particular. So that is important because in some exercises, you will have a proposition and we will be asked what kind of extension, and you have to see if the predicate is united to the subject in an essential way, it is universal. Okay. Now the type of proposition. So if you combine the two components of a proposition, there was a material aspect, the quantity, and the extension, the quantity or extension. So matter or quantity of the proposition. And where is the quantity of the proposition? It is in the subject. The subject indicates the extension of the proposition. And you have the form of the proposition, and that form of the proposition is the quality of the proposition. That means if the proposition is affirmative or it is negative, that quality is given by the verb, the copula, the verb. Okay? So in fact, to define a proposition, we use only two things. The subject gives the extension, the subject gives the quantity, extension, and the form gives the quality of the proposition. Okay? So, in fact, if I divide we have universal, okay? Universal proposition. A universal proposition, universal, can be quality, can be affirmative, affirmative, or can be negative. So you have a universal affirmative, universal negative. Okay. If we have now a quantity which is not the totality, only the part, we have a particular. A particular proposition can be affirmative, can be negative. So we have 4 possibilities. But you see, we have also a singular. Okay, singular. Singular, they can be that another tricky problem. Paul is sick. Paul is not sick. In that, those propositions, they are called contradictory. We saw that, contradiction. No middle. In the case of a singular affirmative proposition opposing a negative proposition, the subject plays the same role as the universal. So in that case, we obey the law of the universal. Because there is no middle. Okay? Paul is totally Paul. Okay? Now, the problem is in the indefinite. So the problem is indefinite. If, we saw that, if the indefinite is essential, we have universal proposition. Men are mortal. Every man is mortal. Or, if we have men is, dog are faithful friend of man. Dog. Every dog? No, not every dog. Sometimes they are crazy, they are sick. Huh? Yes, they are dangerous. Huh? Okay, so we cannot say it's particular. So when the proposition indefinite is universal, is necessary and essential, it is universal proposition. Angels are immortal, universal. If I say angels are saints, is this particular? Because some angels are demons, no? Lucifer is an angel, so it's particular. In fact, we can reduce the 4 proposition to 2 proposition, two extension. The 4 extension, universal, particular, singular, and indefinite, can be reduced to universal and particular. Now, a universal proposition, we call that A. A. A universal negative, we call that E. A particular proposition, we call that E. And a particular negative, we call that O. Why? Because you have the explanation here. Affirmo, I affirm in Latin, affirmo, A, I. So A, when you say A, it is a universal affirmative. When you see I, it is a particular affirmative. Affirmo. I affirm.
Father, I think there's a typo on the, on the handout in the first chart there where it says form. It says affirmative. It says
yes, the
affirmo. It says A to O. It should be A to I.
A. Oh yes. No. Yes. You're right. Oh, thank you. Here is OI. I have to correct that. Very. You know. Yeah, the first student to make that remark. Do you work for the FBI? Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Okay, so affirmo. Now here say may go. may, I deny, in Latin, I deny, may. When you see E, universal negative, and that is the absolutely essential to continue. And that instinctively you see E, universal negative. You see A, universal affirmative. You see I, particular affirmative. You see O, particular negative. And we will work with that. In the future, instead of saying universal affirmative, you write A. And everybody will know that this universal affirmative. Okay? In fact, if you want to recall that, think about the sound. McDonald had the fun. A-I-E-I-O. It's a trick. Huh? Okay. Now, I continue. Here in the A, here, what I have, my subject is universal. Huh? My verb is yes, my verb is affirmative, and my predicate. Now, try to follow. I will try to understand a new term we call distributed and undistributed. So to avoid the confusion between a proposition that is universal and a subject that is universal, so the modern logician, because when I studied I did not know that distinction, but the distinction is done now, to distinguish a proposition which is universal and a subject which is universal. They make the distinction. The proposition continues to be universal, but the subject is called distributed. If the subject is universal, it is necessarily distributed. What is the meaning of that? Let us take a comparison. You go to the store and you buy a dozen of tomatoes in a basket. Okay? You have a beautiful basket, beautiful, and you see tomatoes. You arrive at home and you distribute on your pantry, on your table, the 12 tomatoes. And the 12 tomatoes are perfect. So we can say the distribution of the perfect tomatoes, and the tomatoes are distributed totally. The distribution is perfect. You can give that to 12 persons, each one will receive a good tomato. Suppose you open your bag of tomatoes and you have 9 good tomatoes and 3 not good, rotten. Suppose. Will you distribute that to everyone? You cannot distribute, you cannot apply the quality of good tomato to each one. You cannot distribute, attribute in fact. So the word means the same thing as universal, the same thing, but it is another word to make the difference. So a proposition that is universal, the subject is distributed. That means all the parts of the subject are conform to the nature of the subject. If I say all dogs in Connecticut must be vaccinated against rabies. All dogs. That means one by one, the total distribution of dogs, the total subject is distributed. The proposition is universal, the subject is distributed, okay, attributed to all the dogs. Now, the predicate. Suppose I say, all seminarians are baptized. All seminarians are baptized. Okay, baptized. only seminarians who are baptized? No. So among the group of baptized people, you have a group called seminary. So that is particular. But if we attribute that to people, it will be only a part of the people which will receive the name of seminarian. If you want, the distribution is particular. The distribution is particular. In that case, we call undistributed. The predicate is undistributed. That means baptized is applied to more people than to the seminarian. So when I apply the word baptized to seminarian, I restrain the extension of baptized. Understand that? So that means in every affirmative proposition, the predicate is always undistributed. Is always attributed only to a part of the totality. A part of the totality. Undistributed. Let us take another example. All presidents of the United States are born in the United States. Okay? Those who are born in the United States, they are million and million and million, billion of people were born in the United States. Among those people, there is a little group we call president. So the fact that be born in the United States apply in a particular way to the presidents of the United States. That means the distribution is not total. I don't distribute the certificate of birth to everyone, no, only to the president. Therefore, here it is undistributed. I go to here, because of the same problem. That means particular, particular affirmative, I. Okay? So the subject and the predicate. Bon. The subject particular, necessarily, the subject will be undistributed. Because if I say some Americans are Catholic, some American. If I say some American, that means only a part of the American are Catholic. That means in the group only, I speak only about a little group. The distribution of the quality of being American is restrained to a little group. It is undistributed. And the predicate, because it is a particular affirmative proposition, will be also undistributed. If I say some Americans are Catholic, among all the Catholics in the universe, you have some Americans. So Catholic apply to American in an undistributed way. It's not totally distributed. It is distributed only to a certain number. And if you want the certificate of Catholicity will be given only to a little part of the whole. So that is very important. If you can catch that, it will be easy for you to do all the exercise in syllogism, because the exercises in syllogism are based on that. I explain to you now. So here we discuss two things. We discuss the quantity, universal or particular, and we take care of the quality, affirmative or negative. Well, we saw A, the subject is universal. Therefore, the distribution is total distribution. Here, the subject is particular. The distribution will be incomplete distribution. Or if you want, undistributed. Okay? The predicate of an affirmative proposition is always undistributed. If I say some cat are Persian, some cat are Persian from Persia. Bon. That means all the cat of Persia are not in Persia, they are maybe in Canada, in the United States. The subject, the predicate of a particular, affirmative proposition is always particular, therefore always undistributed. It always apart. What is the meaning of that? If I say seminarian, or all seminarians are Catholic in common. All seminarians are Catholic. That means they are a part of the Catholic. A part of. The quality Catholic is distributed only to a part of the Catholic when I apply that to the seminaries. So the predicate of an affirmative proposition is always undistributed. Okay? But for the moment, you don't see the importance of that, but I know. When you study syllogism, if you understand that, it will be very, very easy. Now, I go here to negative proposition. Universal negative. It is E. E. The subject and the predicate. The quality is negative. And here, O, the subject and the quality is negative. Okay? Now, let us go first to the subject. The subject of a universal proposition is distributed. That means it is for everyone. All Americans are human beings. Okay? Now, if I say not, if I say, for example, men are not angels. What is the meaning of that? A negative, we saw that just before, is a total exclusion. Total exclusion. That means we have the group of angels and the group of men, or the group of angels, predicate, and the group of men. And the group of men is completely apart, separated. Completely. All men are totally outside of all angels. What is the extension of angel? Universal, no? Distributed. That means the fact to be a non-angel is applied to every man. It is universal. So when I speak about total exclusion, the predicate is always universal, therefore distributed. Okay? If I say now, some seminarians are not American. Some seminarians are not American. So I have the group of American, I have the group of some seminarians, and they are outside of the group of American. A part of the seminarian here is outside American. A part of, what is a part of? It is the particular, it is undistributed. But it is completely apart the group of American. Therefore, the predicate is distributed. And with that, you can almost answer all the questions in the future. Because you have to know what is the extension of the subject, what is the extension of the predicate. And here, it is the synthesis of everything. Everything is here. So we can make some laws if you want. The predicate of an affirmative proposition is always undistributed. The predicate of a negative proposition is always distributed. Huh? The predicate of a universal, the subject of a universal proposition is distributed. The subject of a particular proposition is undistributed. It's not difficult. In fact, it's simple. You have not a lot of possibility. Huh? You have 2 multiplied by 2 equal 4, and 4 multiplied by 2 equal 8. So you have 8 things to understand. So I try to make you understand. Negative total exclusion. Total exclusion. Total. That means the predicate of a negative proposition is universal. If I say these cats are not good mouse hunter, that means they are totally apart the group of mouse hunter. The mouse hunter are it is distributed. It is, but the cats are outside of that, you know. So when it is affirmative, it is a part of. The trick I give my students, I say, when you say affirmative, say a part of. When you say negative, say total exclusion of. You know? So a part of, it is a part of the distribution. When you have a part of the cake, of the, and it is undistributed, and when it is totally excluded, it is distributed. For the subject, it's not difficult. Universal, it is the totality distributed. Particular, it is the part undistributed. Okay? The difficulty is the word distributed. So think about the tomatoes.
Could you do the example on a particular negative you have here in the book? Some worker is not lazy.
Okay, some worker, subject, some worker, universal, is not lazy, is totally a part of the group of the lazy man, or lazy one. We have the group of the lazy, you have the group of the lazy here, and some worker are outside of that. So here it is particular because it is a part of the worker. Here it is universal.
All the lazies.
It is the totality of the distribution. When you buy a package of 12 bottles of wine, you want to have the totality, the total distribution of the bottle. You want to count 12 bottles in the box. No? It is not only 11, it is particular, it is undistributed. It did not distribute in your box 12, they distribute only 11. If they distribute 12, that is totally distributed, complete. But if they are lacking something, it is undistributed. In fact, distributed corresponds to universal, undistributed corresponds to particular. Yes?
Could you draw the circle design for I for particular affirmative?
Yes. Well, if you say some students are not American in our class, for example. Okay?
Particular affirmative.
Particular here.
The affirmative, the lower left.
The I.
Oh, you see here?
Yes,
Oh, here.
they both are undistributed. Can you draw the circle design?
What do you want? The explanation of predicate or the subject?
Well, just
Okay.
the,
Yes, okay.
that helps me.
Okay. Some students are American.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Some students. Well, yeah, all the group of students in the world, and some, a part of here, those here, are among the
Double
Americans.
circles. Okay, I got it.
In fact, here, not like this, it's not good. I should do like that.
There we go.
A part of the student are in the American.
Got it. That's,
So American apply partially to the student, does not apply to all students.
it doesn't apply to either side, so therefore they're both undistributed. Yeah.
That, you know, American, they are undistributed. Why? Because the predicate apply only a part of that to the student. And the students are also particular because it's only a part of the whole.
Yes, got it.
In fact, I can give you, we call that the circular van, Mr. Van. You have the first here, A, you have all American are animal, and better. All men are immortal, okay? All men are immortal. So all men are immortal. Okay? So, who are immortal? God, angels, and men. So here in the group I have God, I have angel, and I have the group we call men. Okay? So man here is undistributed. That means man he will be a part of those who are immortal. You know? Man will be a part, all men, universality of man, is only a part of. It is inclusion. We represent that like that. You have this immortal, and in the side of immortal you have man. Okay? But we have angel, we have. Okay? Here now, in that graphic, you have all angels are not in heaven, are not safe, for example. So all angels. So the totality of angels here, no, that is not good. No angel, excuse me, no demon, okay? No demon, you see? No, what is the name for demon?
Demon.
Demon, one day Satan is a
Devil.
devil. No devil is in heaven. So all those who are in heaven, safe, and demons are outside of that. So that is universal, and that is universal. Or the totality of those who are in heaven, and the totality of angels outside of heaven. Now, if I want to express here, some men are lazy. Okay? So some men that live in the group of men, I have some, and those some are a part of the lazy. Here. So we have the group of men, and men apply to some here, to some lazy, but in a particular way. And lazy here is only a part of all the lazy. That is the representation of that. And finally, if I want to represent that here, some students are not lazy. If I say that, I will say I have all the students, but I have a part of them, and that part here is outside of the totality of the lazy. So a part of a part of the whole, only a part. So it is undistributed, distributed, undistributed, undistributed, distributed, 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 undistributed. And you have that, I did that, you have that, huh? Okay? Well, it's here, huh?
Yeah.
And you have a summary after that, you have that also. And, well, I don't want to come back on the essential, I already explained that chapter, essential. And that is to have fun. You have that paper also, no? You have that. So if Oh no, that is not for that chapter. There is a mistake here.
Oh,
It,
that's behind.
it is not. It's chapter 10. Huh? Chapter 10. Mistake. Okay. Now we go to chapter 9. But it is important to have good foundation. Huh? After that, it's easy to understand. Okay. Now, chapter 9, it is about conversion and obversion of proposition. But the first, the conversion, it is the reversing of the subject and the predicate, keeping the same quality. So we change the proposition, keeping the same quality. Okay? Where is that chapter? Oh, for example, okay, I take the example. No deacon is a pagan, I hope. No pagan is a deacon. So in that proposition, there is no change. The subject 1 becomes the predicate 2, and the predicate 2 becomes the subject, predicate 1 becomes the subject 2. And they keep the same quality, but they change. What was subject become predicate, and what was predicate become subject. That is conversion. Obversion, what is that? We keep the same matter. No deacon is a pagan. Every deacon is a pagan, is a non-pagan. So we keep the same matter. We change the quality of the proposition, and we contradict the predicate, non-P. We pass from P to non-P. We pass from S to S. We change the quality, affirmative, negative, and we contradict the predicate. Huh? Okay? So, example, no deacon is a pagan, every deacon is a non-pagan. Okay, let us see now in detail. First, the extension of the term subject and predicate. Distributed and undistributed. Distributed when the term stands for every individual under them. A distributed term as a universal extension. We know that now. It's a review of the chapter before. Undistributed, only some of the individual under them is a particular extension. Some seminarian is not sponsored. Not all politicians are honest. So I already explained that. Page 2, it is exactly what I told that just before. So I don't want to insist on that because all that was explained in complete way, I hope. But it is a review. I go now to page 2, the rule for conversion. So we keep the same quality, and the term must never be overextended. That is the great law. In the second proposition, the terms must not have more extension than in the first proposition. That means, if the subject here is undistributed, the predicate here must not become distributed. It must be undistributed. Or, if the subject here is distributed, the predicate can be either distributed or undistributed. It can have less, but it cannot have more. It can have the same extension, that means distributed, or less, distributed, undistributed, but never undistributed becomes distributed. Okay? That is very important even for syllogism. So we have 3 cases of conversion. First, the proposition we call conversion by simple conversion. No change in quantity. The quantity is the same. Example, no Christian. What is the meaning of D-A? D. Distributed. Huh? So no Christian distributed is a pagan distributed. Why? Because no Christian is a negative proposition. Don't forget. Huh? In English, the not is not here. The not is obeyed at the beginning. Huh? No Christian is a negative proposition. Therefore, Christian must be distributed, and pagan must be distributed. Why? Because it is a negative proposition, total exclusion. Okay? Now, pagan becomes subject. So I can say no pagan, and that is, I keep the same quality. So no pagan distributed is a Christian. Christian will be distributed because it is a negative proposition. So same extension, the conversion is good. So we can change E to E. E, universal negative. Huh? I to I. Some worker, undistributed, are Mexican, undistributed. Why? Because the predicate of an affirmative proposition is undistributed. Now, Mexican becomes subject. Am I allowed to say all Mexican? I must say some Mexican. Why? Because some Mexican, it is a subject that become undistributed. And some worker was undistributed, it become undistributed. Therefore, I can change I to I. I to I. That means a proposition which is singular affirmative. I can put that as singular affirmative also. Okay, now I go to accidental conversion. Well, I will not ask questions about accidental conversion, but you can be able to justify if the conversion, what I will do at the exam, I will give you conversion. I will ask you verify if the conversion is correct or not correct, is valid or not valid. Okay? And to verify that, you have to go to the extension of the term. The extension of the term is the reason why I insist so much on distributed and undistributed. Because my experience as a teacher tells me there is here a stumbling block for many students. So A to I. Example. Every great musician, distributed, is an admirer of Mozart. Univocal, undistributed. Why undistributed? Because many admirers of Mozart are not musicians. No? Okay? Now, if admirer of Mozart is undistributed, I am obliged to write some admirer. Why? Because it is undistributed. I must keep the same extension. Huh? And every great musician become great musician undistributed. Why? Because the proposition is affirmative. The predicate must be undistributed. In fact, here it is real logic. We are in logic. We use our logic. Okay? And if you use O, O gives nothing. Why? Look at that. Some teachers are not American. Okay? Not American is distributed. If you say no American distributed, no problem. But the problem will be no American is a teacher. Is a teacher. So teacher will be distributed because the verb is negative. So it is impossible to convert O. O cannot be converted. So we can convert E to E, I to I, A to I, O, impossible. Because of, when we change, we convert the predicate of a negative proposition is universal, is distributed. Okay? But there is another trick we call contraposition, and not insist on that. Now, example of false conversion on the error. If you convert A to A, Every student in our class is good Christian. Every student distributed, good Christian, undistributed. And you see, every good Christian is a, no, you cannot say that because in the first proposition, Christian is undistributed. So if you do that, you provoke because of false induction. That means you start from the particular and you affirm the universal. That is a false induction, is a fallacy. O to O is the same thing. Huh? Some architects are distributed, and if I change that, it will become distributed. Huh? Now obversion, that is conversion, not obversion. But we wonder why we study that. Because when we analyze syllogism, sometimes we have to use that to verify the validity of syllogism. So it's the reason why. And secondly, it is by curiosity. You know, those people, the logicians in the Middle Ages, they have a lot of fun with that. And don't forget, they have no book. So all that was learned by memory. We see that next time when we see the mnemosis. They used mnemonic technique of memory to be able to read. Because we cannot retain everything, so they have some trick, and we saw the trick, we study that next week. So what is an obversion? Now, we change the quality of the proposition, affirmative, negative, or negative, affirmative, and we keep the same subject. We keep the predicate, but we contradict here the predicate. Well, look at that. Here we have a negative. If we have a negative, -1 multiplied by -1 give me 1. In fact, when you do that, you say exactly the same thing as here. No? If I say, you are not non-stupid. You are not non-stupid.
You're stupid.
Yeah, stupid. And you know, some politicians, some rhetoricians, they use that, and the people are not realizing, because it's a little bit complex. You are not stupid. Oh yes. Oh, we are not non-honest, etc. Okay. You are honest or dishonest. So what is the rule? The same rule, the same subject, contradict the verb, but you know what is important? Never have more extension in the second than in the first. Example of version. A. Every firefighter is courageous. No firefighter is not non-courageous. Not none, -1 multiplied by -1 gives me 1. That means it's the same thing. We say the same thing, but in another manner, you know. Okay? But we keep the same truth. We keep the same truth. Some teacher is interesting, some teacher is not non-interesting, you know. No pope was a woman, every pope was a non-woman. Some senators are not tall, some senators are non-tall. Okay? Are non-tall. It's the same thing to say I'm not tall. Okay? So what is the principle? The denial, if something is true, the denial of the contradictory is also true. I deny the contradictory. If I say, what is the contradictory of living? Non-living. So if I deny non-living, I say living. -1 multiplied by -1 give me 1. So the negation of a negation gave me an affirmation. Common sense, no? It's not.
So this is all just tools to determine if
those
statement is
tools
true or not.
would be used in syllogism.
Okay.
because in syllogism we have to verify the truth, the validity of the syllogism. And sometimes we have to, in the syllogism, the form, the change, or we have two possibilities. And we have to verify using, especially the other. That one, less.
Okay.
That is rhetoric. Huh? Rhetoric. No, we see that you are not to say you are I say you are dishonest. Huh? So we are not non-dishonest. People they use that sometimes in speeches. It's rhetoric. But the first is used in syllogism. Because sometimes we can write the conclusion. For example, I can say as conclusion, no man is an angel. I can say, we say, no angel is man. And the truth is the same. You know? Now we'll see that. And a remark, 5. One should use none rather than on or in. So the best is this none. Why? Because sometimes in does not signify negation. Huh? For example, indicator, inspire, ongoing, onco, etc. Okay? You have some example here. Huh? The governor is not a non-atheist. Huh? He is an atheist. Huh? That is non-threatening. That is, you know, sometimes people are sued because they said something. No, it did not say you are not stupid. I say you are not non-stupid. Protect my... Every book is non-boring. Huh? Every book is boring. This person is not crazy. Okay, that chapter is not difficult. Now we finish by that. I have half an hour to cover the last one about the truth. But if we understand very well what we studied just before, it will be easy to understand the last chapter. So it is the opposition of the square of opposition. You remember we saw A, we saw E, we saw proposition I and proposition O. And everybody now knows exactly what is the meaning of that. Okay? No? Affirmative, affirmative, universal negative, universal negative, universal negative, particular negative. Okay. So we have a square. We call the square of opposition. So what is the greatest opposition in quantity and in quality? It is between universal affirmative and particular negative. Huh? Because they deny in quantity, universal, particular, and they deny in quality, affirmation, negative. But therefore, A and O oppose totally as contradictory, and E and I. And we call that contradictory opposition. Contradictory opposition. There is no middle. No middle. Huh? Okay? The second opposition is the contrary opposition. It is between two universals. Universal A and E. We call that opposition contrary. They oppose only in quality. Huh? Only in quality. But they have the same quantity. That means they are universal. Now we have another opposition. It is particular proposition. It is the opposition between two particular propositions. Huh? That means having the same subject and the same predicate, of course. Huh? Here, every tulip is beautiful. No tulip is beautiful. So finally, I have here sub contrary. Sub-contrary opposition. Some students are lazy, some students are not lazy. Sub-contrary. And I have another opposition. It is between the universal and the particular affirmative, and the universal and particular negative. We call that subaltern opposition, subalternation. So you take the same proposition. For example, every apple is red. No apple is red. Some apple is red. Some apple is not red. Okay? It's very simple, huh? And now, why we do that? Is this to find the truth of proposition? Because judgment leads us to the truth. To the truth. So, let us example. Okay. Every apple is sweet. Okay? No apple is sweet. Some apple is sweet. And some apple is not sweet. And now you have what we studied before, A, E, I, O. You remember that subject distributed? We have to apply that now, okay? So we have the opposition. Now we have that everything here in the square of opposition. Everything is here. Here I speak about lily. Here we have apple. Now the rule of truth and falsity. What is the most important? You know, they oppose in truth and falsity. A thing can be true or false. It's not half true, half false. It is true or false. Okay? Now, if you come here. Suppose I say A is true. That means that every apple is sweet. Suppose I have a basket. Every apple is sweet. I say it's true. What can I say with absolute certitude? Some apple is not sweet is false. So when we have, you have A, E, I, O. If A is true, O is necessarily false. What is that here? Contradictory. Contradictory oppose in truth and in falsity. What is that means? They cannot be true together, they cannot be true, false together. One is true, the other is false. Okay? I go here, I say, if E, if E is true, what happened to I? False. If I is false, what happened to E? True. And finally, if O is false, what happened to A? True. So, in the contradictory opposition, one is true, the other is false. We say they oppose in truth and in falsity. No middle. Okay? Now I go to the second possibility. It is the contrary proposition. Opposition. It is the opposition between A and E. Contrary opposition is made with propositions which are universal. One affirmative, the other negative. If A is true, if it is true that every apple is sweet, what will happen if I say no apple is sweet?
False.
False. So when we affirm the truth, the other become false. Or if suppose I say no apple is sweet, I say is true, what happened to A? False. So they oppose in truth. They oppose in truth. But if I say A is false, that means it is false that every apple is sweet. Can I say that no apple is sweet is true? No. It can be true, it can be true. That means when I say it is false that every apple is sweet, on 10 apples, maybe 2 are not sweet, or no, not a single one is sweet. So we don't know. Unknown. We don't know. We don't know. 2 possibilities. Okay? So it's the same. So if A is false, E is unknown. If E is false, A is unknown. So we see contrary opposed in truth. They cannot be true together, but they can be false together. So that is contrary opposition. Contrary opposition. If one is true, the other is false. But if one is false, the other is unknown. Unknown. I go now to sub contrary. Sub contrary. Some apple is sweet, some apple is not sweet. That is more difficult. So, some apple, if I say some apple is sweet, I say that is true. Can I say that some apple is not sweet?
Yes.
Can I say yes, but I'm sure of that. Yeah? Yes. If I say only, if it is true that some apple is true, or I have, for example, 5 apples on 10, they are sweet. It is true that I have 5 apples, it is true. Can I say that it is false for O? Okay, I will go, the contrary will be easier to understand, okay? I will start from the easiest aspect. Let us say that I is false. It is false that 2 apples on 10 are sweet. It is false to say that. What can I say about some apples are not sweet?
True.
True. So when particular is true, is false, the other is true. If I say some apple is not sweet, is true. What can I say? Excuse me, not true, false. I say some apple is not sweet, is false. Therefore, I am obliged to say that I is true. Because if it is false that some apple is not, they must be totally good, totally sweet. No? I give you a trick to verify that. You know, I think sometimes it's difficult to catch that. I will give you a trick. After that, I will continue. The trick is, you use what you know already. A, I will erase that one because I need my E-A, A-I-O. Bon. What do you know first? You know that I is false. What happened to E?
True.
True. What happened to A? False. What happened to O?
True.
Huh? Genius, no? It's a genius. Huh? The other, the same here, huh? If you have A, E, I, O. So if you start, O is false, what happened to A? True. If A is true, what happened to E? False. If E is false, what happened to I?
True.
So when O is false, the other is true. I like that. Mathematics. Okay, but the difficulty is not here, but it's not too difficult. Difficulty is the contrary. It is to say that I is true. But you can use the same system. Huh? What I told you here, the teacher, is very, very useful. Very useful. You can settle almost all the problems with that technique. So always use your rectangle, the square. So I say I is true. Can I say O is false? If it is true that some apple is sweet, can I say that it's false that some apple is not sweet?
Could be a none.
Can be, it cannot be. We don't know. It is possible if I say it is true that some apple is sweet. The other apple can be either sweet or not sweet. We don't know. So now let us, in the same in the other direction. Huh? So let us check with the magic square. So I say, I start from here. O. O is true. What happened to E? False. But here they oppose in what?
Truth and
In truth. It is false. What happened to A? We don't know. If we don't know, what happened to O?
We don't know.
We don't know. So when I is true, we don't know for O. It can be, it cannot be. We have no time. I can do the same on the other side. If O is true, what happened to A? False. But if A is false, what happened to E? Unknown. Because they oppose in truth, they don't oppose in falsity. And if A is false, what happened to I? We don't know. So when O is true, we don't know what happened to the other. I. They oppose. Okay? I know now to the other subaltern. Huh? Well, you can read that. I explain that in detail in your paper. Very detailed. Huh? So I go to page 7. Subalternation. Oh, I come back to my... Thank you for the chalk, huh? You see how it is precious, precious for me to have a chalk, good chalk. Okay. Now we work on subaltern. Bon. We say, every apple is sweet. Huh? Every apple is sweet. Okay? Here I have some apple is sweet. Okay? It's sweet. If A is true, what happened to I?
True.
True. If it is true that all apples are sweet, therefore some apples are sweet, it is true. If I say no apple is sweet in the box, no apple is sweet. What can so I say that is true. What happened to O? True. So what we say? Truth descending. What is true of the universal is true of the particular. What is true of the whole is true of the part. Common sense, no? Common sense. Now, I change that and I say, if I is true, can I say something about A? If it is true that some apple is sweet, can I conclude that every apple is sweet? No. So we don't know. Induction. It is the case of induction. We don't know. We have to verify all to verify. So we cannot start from the particular to the universal to affirm the truth. Unfortunately, it is what we do continually on television and some people, and from that we generalize. Okay? The same here. If O is true, we cannot conclude for E. Okay? Now, if I go to false, now false. If I is false, it is false that some apple is sweet. What happened to every apple is sweet? False. False. If in a basket 2 apples on 10 apples, 2 are not sweet, I cannot say that 10 are sweet. So from the falsity of the particular, I can conclude to the falsity of the universal. We say falsity ascending. So we start from negation and we see that here. And finally, you have some exercises after that. And among the exercises, I go to page 10. Okay? Page 10. Unfortunately, you don't have the gray color I have on my, but you have the same thing. It is a square, the table of truth. So you can fill that by yourself. You have, for example, if A is true, E is true, I is true, and O is true. And you have A, E, I, O. So A is true, okay. After that, if E is true, what happened to A? It will be F, etc. So you can fill that. In fact, when you fill that, you have that also here. So work on that. That is exactly what we did before, using the arrow. We start from the if A is true, and you find all the possibility. If I is true, all the possibility. It is the best way to practice. So I give you that, and I give you that. And here you have the synthesis of everything. On that chart of valid inferences. The chart of valid inferences, everything is in. Truth descending from truth to truth. Falsity ascending from particular to universal. From truth to falsity, you have the contradictory and you have the contrary. And finally, from falsity to truth, you have the contradictory and you have the third contrary. So that little chart is the summary of the whole chapter. You have that, Okay? Everything is there. So have fun with that. So instead of playing Sudoku or Scrabble, play that. It is interesting. I think, I hope. Maybe it's a pure imagination of mine.
I think I gotta get you out of here for a while.